Okay, we'll continue our agenda. Next on the agenda is the calendar adjustment.
So in your packets, you have a survey, you have results of a survey that we sent out to teaching staff several weeks ago now. It's called the More Time Survey. And this was, this came out after we have regular meetings with the president of the teacher union. And it became very obvious that one of the hardest adjustments teachers are making right now is accommodating the extra duties, the extra time that students are in the classroom. Lunch is not always in the cafeteria because there's no room. So it's just a lot of just changes that are making it difficult for time. So we sent the survey out, and I just have the results for 33. If you look at the question, I said that given the choice, which of the following suggestions would be your preference for creating more time to prepare for the new challenges of our school days? The majority of your teachers suggested that they would, at 40%, suggested that they would change the current monthly early release dates to full workshop days. And the mindset there was based on, when we came back from harvest, we had a workshop day, October 5, that really worked well for teachers. Half the day was spent on PD, the other half of the day was spent for themselves, preparing for their lessons, getting ready for, virtual learners versus in-classroom learners. And that model, we got a lot of great positive feedback from that day. So we felt that maybe, we were onto something, and your teachers agreed. So what we are proposing in this calendar sheet, and I am sharing the screen up here. In looking at our current calendar right here, you'll see that starting out the year, September, we had an early release here on the 18th. October, we had an early release on the 23rd. Moving forward, starting on November 20th, all of those early releases monthly would change from an early release to a workshop day. I remind you that we are in an executive order right now that does not require us to have a minimum amount of school days. So that is a waiver right now where we can reduce the student days and it doesn't impact us. This one reduces it, the student days to 167 instead of 176. So it is 9 less overall school days for kids. But the benefit here is we would be able to really target those days to benefit teachers. We've asked the administrators to think about meetings that they currently have, or in the past they would have after school. Team meetings and staff meetings get moved to those workshop days, so it's embedded in the day. Give the teachers time for planning during the day, and also provide optional professional development. We have a suite of online professional development that we're going to be pushing out to teachers that they can choose from based on what their needs are. It's the, out of all the choices, it was the least impactful with regards to really disrupting the overall calendar. You probably see that MSAD33 did an additional change to their day. They're actually dismissing at 2 o'clock. We're not asking that of you in this district. It's a very different situation here than it is in 27 with regards to the amount of kids that you have in school. Both Madawaska and 27 have approved this calendar change with the workshop days in place. That doesn't mean that you have to approve it. You're in control of your calendar, but based on what the teacher feedback is, what their preference is, and what they're asking for, and the success we had on October 5, we felt that this was the best proposal. Who knows, we may be moving to a hybrid or remote in a week, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We might be coming back to you and saying, okay, now this is our reality. So we'd like to adjust, things this way. This is only if we stay in school the way that we are, and we currently are. We would like to proceed with this plan for this calendar. So I'm looking for your approval on that.
Could you just tell us what the other options were, the 30% and the 25%?
Yeah, the 30% was scheduled in early release every other week. So that means every other week would be an early release, not just once a month. The 25% was shorten the school day, 2 o'clock dismissal. And then the small wedge there was an early release every other week. It seems like, I think somebody wrote in the same thing as the other way, so it's early release every other week. Yeah.
Then you said that MSAD 27 is cutting down their day.
They're dismissing their students at 2 o'clock. They started today.
So what happens to the students that are coming to the test center?
Their students are leaving early. Your students, nothing is happening to them. They're staying in their programming like they always do.
What time do the students leave the class?
1:30.
At 1:30?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, because I was just curious the early childhood education, which just seems has put out a survey of when this is the little ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, your students, 30 students are being dismissed from the tech center as usual.
okay.
Madawaska as usual, it's just the 27 students that have to head back earlier to catch their bus.
So they're losing out on some instructional time.
They are losing out on instructional time. Again, their reality, Fort Kent Elementary has 450 kids. Fort Kent Community High School, as the ARMS, has about 400 kids. It's really, they have upwards of 4 or 5 lunch shifts that you have to have teachers there. It's a different reality than it is in these smaller schools.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to approve the revised 2021 calendar. I need a motion. Anyone? Jean? Okay, is there a second? Elena? Any more questions? If not, we'll take a vote. In favor? Okay, all. Okay, the next is the appointment of advisors, and we have a list of advisors to approve. So I'll need a motion to approve, the advisors for Lisa and skills USA. Second by Ron. Any questions? If not, we'll take a vote. In favor? Okay. Okay, now we have some adjustments. Okay, the first one will be, first adjustment is under new business, and that would be to add the part-time guidance secretary. Oh, yeah, that's all right. Okay, item D. Okay, item D is responsible self-care needs assistance.
So a couple of weeks back, I had an inquiry from Mr. Fantasia. Mr. Fantasia had a question brought to him from representative of the student council. And in Madison that are here, as well as the Sutherland, who is the student council advisor. The student council brought an idea regarding the use of cell phones during lunch recess, because there's less things to do now because of the COVID restrictions. The students had gone through your policy, which I can bring up in a second here, policy ICJ. Essentially, your policy alludes to the fact that students cannot use their cell phones because it is disruptive to the learning. In the girls' position, that lunchtime is not a learning time. It's more of a, it's socialized, it's that type of thing. So they proposed a presentation to Mr. Fantasia. Mr. Fantasia asked me what I thought. I said, well, you back it up, bring it to me, and then I'll make a decision. So he did just that. He listened to the girls, backed up the proposition, brought it to me. I truly felt like what they are proposing sounded fair. And again, I'm using also other schools as my scope of what things that different schools do. I'm aware that, Madawaska High School, there is similar to you. It's no cell phone use at all during the day. However, at community high school during lunch, students are able to use technology responsibly. So I see both of those. So we have the girls here, and they'd like to present a short presentation to you. And if you don't mind, I'll have them come and do that now. And I can just maybe slide changer. Whenever you're ready. You're gonna have to yell at me, okay?
So we said that policy there, section A should be changed, and it would allow us to use our phones and lines, phones that run the business. If there are that they want to use only their phones in the building. So, let's be amended. There's a lot of pros to allowing smartphones during lunch recess. The students won't be at their lunches at recess and lunch. It gives them something to look forward to during the day. It helps with the morale, especially with COVID. It's kind of frustrating for settings to have recess, and you can't really do anything, sitting far with your friends, a lot of events for the most part. It helps prevent the breaking of social distancing guidelines. So people aren't trying to have conversations, they'll be able to do social distancing or talk to their friends over the phone. It allows for less spacing for teachers at lunch and recess, so they will have to worry about between time during that time period. And it also has the ability for the students to be given more responsibility, which can help us to ourselves take on that role. So there are a couple of models. One of them being cyberbullying, which can also happen with laptop usage, so the same rules also give you time to monitor the laptops. Inappropriate reviews, and so that can include like taking pictures of other students, suicide goals. And then there's also not taking time to eat, but we all felt a lot of council that we're all in to figure out if we're doing that, but what's the responsibility and committed to use your time and spend all that, so that's really well. As student council, we found that we could often use these classes to help with transition smoothly. Instead of us making sure kids only use their phone that makes us help remind them to do stuff. And then kids that have used the system, we also like that, they will start and we use this class, we can have a meeting with students to discuss the expectations and what they're expected to do. So, self-policing must be done by students also, if we see something that Some current violations that show, so during the past quarter, there's been 9 students and 4 other violations for adults. And so over the next, if we do go through this, we'll keep an eye on the violations that and see if they change. And if they do increase, then we'll have to consider how it's working out. But we can monitor that and see if it ends up being more effective or if it's, there are some issues that are in favor, but there are some concerns. And the staff was told, they said that there might be additional pacing and policies from class, but we said that we could separate pacing and the process. And inappropriate pictures be taken and fall under the student handbook policies. And notwithstanding, and I think this is also in the way, and covering together about the constitution of the social distancing aspect. Your questions,
You said that if you were to support this, that we would be meeting with the student body and explaining what the rules are.
yeah, so, yeah.
Because the last, one that you had, the last slide that you had up there, the only one that I have visibly seen in my school is not so much color together in the last one, but sharing phones. We're constantly, they're constantly passing the phone back and forth at lunch to show their friends their pictures and things. And we try to explain to them that that's a lot of touching. You know, 2 or 3 people are touching the same phone, it's not being sanitized. So that was the only concern that I had. I agree that the COVID right now, the phones for teenagers are a very positive thing at lunchtime. It's something for them to do, and it's a good time for them. And maybe if we were to agree to that we wouldn't have phone problems outside of that, we could have time to look at it during lunch. My only concern would be the touching and the sharing of the phone.
My name is Sarah, that's how we made that, that are going to, have class meetings to discuss expectations. And after the expectation is on board, and again, for the police and the cafeteria and teachers. And we're seeing them passing points as teachers, we have to say, no, that's not. But that's definitely a concern that we can follow. After the address before we even order the
Yeah, the students that had violations, are they allowed to have it come to them the next day or what happened?
Yeah, first offense is the COVID, that's when I want to start today, and we'll have that time. Second offense is 5 days off. So this is your current cell phone use policy. Item A says students are permitted to have private electronic devices, including but not limited to cell phones and 3 players, handheld computers, and electronic means at school, but they must remain out of sight and off mode during the school day. Girls, how often do you turn your phone off? It's all off. Turn your phone off. Right. So, honestly, I don't know how many students do turn their phone off, and I would wager that the great deal of time spent going to the bathroom to check your phone to see if you've got a Snapchat or if somebody liked your Instagram post or whatever. So that's just being fair. But I think if we were to consider, the only may and another little statement you can see in there, unless a time has been designated by the local administrator to ensure that student learning is not affected by the technology use, i.e. lunch period. If you would just add language like that, it gives Mr. Fantasia a little bit of leeway to say, okay, students during lunch recess, that is an approved time to use your phone. We still know that, in classrooms, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be good on learning. I think that would be a quick and easy fix. It also does, in your policy, it does address a lot of the concerns that the teachers share with girls. And the use of the camera is already in your policy as a violation, that you can't use the camera to exploit people or to cheat on tests, so that's already there. So you already have a really good policy. I just think that some additional language, if you're willing to consider this, is all we need to consider this.
Then with that language, would they, like during class meetings, no, they're still not going to use the phone, correct? Would that language
This would just be for
for lunch?
lunch, and I think they said recess.
Oh, yeah.
So what is being suggested, and we have had several council members discuss about it. We have our class meetings, and the expectation be, we are not allowed to have a phone in place other than in the gym and in the lunchroom. As soon as you walk through those doors, please be back in the pocket. So you cannot be using it down hallways, and there's no reason why it should be out in class. So only in the cafeteria and in the gym.
I have one more question. Because when I was in high school, I had a phone, and all we did was answer the phone. There was no video. What happens when you're in the test in the classroom, you have to use the bathroom? Do you guys think that the phones left in the desk, or are they brought with you? Just asking because Google is pretty powerful, and I have Google high school.
I know most of us when we go in the classroom, for my classes, we're taking some sort of assessment. They're asking for before the assessment or after the assessment. I haven't ran into that issue with cheating per se with phones, but they all know that they need to use the restroom before or after the meeting.
I think what I'd like to have for is, I think we need to arm our students with good decision-making skills about what expectations are when you're going to be in the And you've all seen young employees that are obsessed with their phones and they can't get off it. If these students don't learn now how to make that switch between, okay, I'm a student now, and now I have my own phone, they're gonna have to make that switch sooner or later. They're gonna have to make that learning curve. I'd rather they're making it now in high school and we can guide them to do that versus they're doing it after losing their first, second, third job because they can't manage that responsibility.
So I remember when we changed the policy to make it really strict. And I realized that the time changed during the pandemic and then the socialization that I said, socializing with friends, one dad, so that I think it's important for you guys to have that shared and chat issues. It's not one speak for you.
Are you told every day, well, when you get to class, to shut your phone down? You know? Yeah. But I'm wondering if you're told every day for a month, there'll come a time where it'll just be, it'll be natural, as soon as you go in, shut the phone. That's what, maybe something that the teachers.
Yeah, and
Just at the beginning of the class, they go to the phone, shut them off.
They tell us it's a church.
I think for the most part, the students are really respectful of cell phone use. If you go into class like this, and you're not going to see, kids writing on their phone, you just don't see it. So I think they're pretty respectful for that. I don't see it as a huge issue. I think you guys share some data, 9 violations in a quarter, that's not bad.
That's down last year.
Okay.
Okay, so do you need an approval to the rule?
Well, I think you can treat this as a first read, but I think Mr. Pancake would like some guidance on whether or not this is something we're going to approve so that they can start to put plans in place
we should do it, because I have seen how important it is at lunchtime, because of the lack of socialization through distancing and things, and I honestly do not see anything bad come out of it. It's a time for them to share and talk, even though they're social distancing, it's something for them to do during that period of time. And my only concern is, what I shared was the passing touching phones. But as far as, sharing pictures from a distance and going through your pictures and things, I think it's a positive, it's a way of socialization during the COVID.
I think I did, yeah, okay.
Can you make that into the form of motion?
So I would make a motion that, wisdom have wisdom, not focus, but wisdom have use of the phone during lunch class recess. But as soon as they leave the gym, the recess area, the phone needs to be put away.
Okay, do I hear a second? Alex? Okay. Any more questions?
Question, could that be stated that it's the first read so that you don't have to visit it 2 more times?
Yes.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, so we'll take a vote on this. All in favor? Okay. All in favor? Thank you, Melanie. Okay, next item is, Thanksgiving break.
So this is just a talking point, you probably have heard it already, if you haven't, you're probably going to hear it. There are schools throughout the state, throughout the nation, colleges, that are all, breaking for Thanksgiving and not returning to school. My son's at Hudson right now, he's gonna come home for Thanksgiving, he's not going to return to Hudson until after Christmas. A lot of the southern Maine schools breaking for Thanksgiving, taking 2 weeks of remote learning before bringing kids back in, doing the same thing after Christmas. And that's because we all know the incubation period of COVID-19 is 10 to 14 days. People are going to gather for Thanksgiving, they're going to gather for Christmas. There's likely to be a higher spread of the virus. And so I want to make you aware that this is on our minds as well. Right now, actually, this afternoon, Peter Karen met with the nurses and Dr. Roberts to discuss this very topic. At the end of a good productive conversation where everyone believes that from a health standpoint, yes, it's probably the best thing to do is possibly break for remote learning 2 weeks after the holiday breaks. We must also consider the social emotional needs of our kids and factor in that right now, like I just mentioned to Dr. Roberts, our positive case count is still relatively low compared to the state and the country. With what we're looking at right now, are 4 active cases. I think we're in agreement that it will be probably premature to make a decision now about canceling or moving to remote learning right after Thanksgiving, right after Christmas. However, in the next couple of weeks, we're really going to keep an eye on things. If our rates decline in the next 2 weeks, I may be asking you all to consider moving to a remote learning plan after these holiday breaks. Right now, I'm not, based on where we are, but I just want you to be mindful that this is something on mind. What I plan to do tomorrow is to construct a letter to the families, kind of outlining what I just told you, that, we're going to monitor, we're hoping you practice a safe holiday so that your kids can stay in school. You want your kids to be in school, and, don't have 20 people over your house around the kitchen table for Thanksgiving. It's not a good idea. Do a Zoom Thanksgiving instead. And hopefully we won't have a spike in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully we won't have to do this. But I just wanted to be honest with you that it is on our minds, and it is something that we're watching very carefully. You're welcome.
If there is no other business, need a motion to adjourn. Everybody in favor of adjournment? Okay.